the way that we look at sex, the way we look at each other.
Absolutely. And what you're saying about feeling like a sexual slave to your partner, it's like, I get what you're saying. It's like, yes, like we are consenting to that, but in a way it's like, it's such a weird dynamic, because so much of the time I feel like a lot of men, they when they have sex, it's not like it's sex, like they're just masturbating with women's bodies, you know?
Exactly.
Like the woman is just a tool for him to masturbate instead of like actually like have a connection. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. I didn't even think of it that way. That makes a lot of sense. I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
And I think porn really like contributes to that mentality. I do not want a guy who's watching porn, and I also like would want a guy who understands and practices semen retention, who isn't like gonna be really reckless with his energy, you know?
Of course. And as far as semen retention, I think that with semen retention, I've actually come across, it's like a rare breed, one guy who practices that. And I was like, whoa, who are you? And like, it was just like, he just said, you know, like, sometimes I don't always. He was like, I just don't feel like I need to. And that was like a breath of fresh air to an extent, because it was like, most guys, every time there's an encounter, that's the final result.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of times where I never finished, but I still felt good. That's definitely something that when you are able to connect with someone or just come across a path of someone who does practice that, it makes you honor, like, see that person in a different light, because they honor themselves enough to know that, you know, I don't have to finish. I don't have to release in order to please the other person who I'm with, but also to get pleasure or feel like I'm, you know, like, I don't love this person any less because I didn't, you know, let go. I just know that maybe this is not the time. I want to put that energy towards something else, you know, but I still want to be able to somewhat please that person. And that's like something like crazy. You can't really, some people are like, what? How is that possible? But it is possible.
I know.
You know, it is. And feeling lonely, honestly, people don't understand. Being lonely is not like, that's something that's actually a blessing, because we don't appreciate having the time alone. I love my alone time. My parents, in these four walls in my room, my parents are like, Chiffon, are you ever going to come out of your room? And I'm doing different things, but it's because I'm taking all that energy and putting it into something that I love, versus not knowing where to direct that energy and then giving my temple and my body to someone who's not going to honor that. So I honor and appraise you for even taking that time to just say, hey, listen, until I am able to feel comfortable 100% with someone who I know is going to honor my wishes, and, you know, this is going to be something that, you know, I will feel comfortable doing, because this person loves themselves enough to love me enough to know that this is what I feel I want to do, and this is just a practice. I'm probably screwing up the way I'm wording it, but basically just understanding. It's a mutual respect, basically.
Definitely.
That's the word I'm looking for, respect. When you're able to have that respect, it makes a whole world of difference.
This type of information should be the mainstream sexual education. Like, this should be taught in sex ed. You know what I mean? Growing up in schools, like, just the effects that sex has on a person, and the effects that ejaculation can have on a person. It's just wild how much of how this stuff is still seen as like super alternative, even though it's been around for forever.
When you think about it, once that man releases, when they release, that's a life, basically.
Yeah.
You know, that's a potential life. Mm-hmm. So every time you're releasing, you're giving so much energy. Not meant to, each time that you're having this encounter, release that, because you're just draining energy that you could, like we said earlier, put in different ways, redirecting in much other ways. And I feel that has to do a lot with, like we said, porn has always glorified, you know, finishing, and, you know, this big moment that confuses people, especially if there are younger teenagers, kids looking at this, you know, seeing their eyes on this, or even adults, they're thinking this is the way life is supposed to be. This is the way intercourse is supposed to be. So when people come together in bed, they're thinking of, oh, okay, I'm going to have sex like they have in movies, or how I've been taught, or how my friends have said, you know, this is how they had their experience, not knowing that they need to look within themselves and also do more research to see the real sacred practices of sex and what it was actually really created for. And I think that'll change a lot of ways of how people can view sex and the way the world views sex. And hopefully people can ignore, like, how much the media and just in general, how they're pushing sex. Sex is everywhere. The music, the media. I mean, my sister left the music industry because it's heavily sex-based. So we have to be careful. That's not the only reason she left, but, you know, with that said, it was just a lot to handle, you know, on a daily basis. And I've seen it firsthand, you know?
Yeah. I mean, even in porn, like I used to watch that stuff, you know, like I used to watch it a lot. And I remember, like, you know, they would have the money shot where, like, the guy would ejaculate on a woman's face and stuff like that. Like those things are seen as so, like, mild and, like, very common practices. And it trains us to, like, it just trains us to have a certain approach, you know? Like, I've talked to so many women over the past few months who have told me about how their boyfriends would just basically just try to replicate these porn scenes within their relationships. And, like, I've had women who have told me about how their boyfriends ejaculated on their face and how they felt so terrible afterwards. But, like, in the moment they wanted to please their partner. They thought that, like, they didn't want to be prude. They didn't want to be, like, you know, they wanted to please their boyfriends, but then in the end it made them feel like such, like, just this really, like, terrible feeling within them. And especially for the women who, I guess, like, I don't, not to say that all women are like this, but a lot of women have been taught to, you know, put their self-worth along with the ability to make a man orgasm, or like if he can't orgasm to me, then that must mean that I'm not attractive, or it must mean that I'm not beautiful, or it must mean that I can't turn him on, or something like that. And so it's weird. It's almost like porn kind of trains men to see women as sex objects, and then it trains women to think that their worth comes from being a sex object, and then it just fuels each other, you know?
Yeah. And that's amazing that you said that, because I used to feel that way a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't with my ex, it was just, like I said, I've been very experimental. I lost my virginity at the age of 13, so I really was just bugging, I guess you could say. My family was bugging. I was bugging, you know? I just was so, like, I had so much self-hatred for myself. And I'm going to be honest, I did not love myself. I can truly say I have finally learned how to love myself within this past year to 2 years. I really, truly started to love myself because everything was so exterior. Yeah. So, and it was very 3D. Yeah. So I felt that if I wasn't pleasing my man the way he wanted to, or pleasing the man who I was laying in bed with, that I was less of a person. And, you know, you would put your needs first. If you know personally you don't like to be ejaculated on your face, you're still going to do it anyway, because you're going to be called stuck up, or, oh, you know, loosen up a little bit, or, you know, and it's like, no, I don't want to be the porn star. I mean, if I want to be a porn star, I would have went and signed up to be one. Yeah, right. Like, you know, so it's like, to an extent, I understand, like, I know if once I find that person that I bond and connect with and feel super close with, of course, I'm going to be open to doing things with that person, or being that porn star, because we have already understood that agreement that we are mutually, you know, understanding one another. But if it's on a very shallow basis, on a very 3D basis, you're not going to get what you want, because you're going to constantly be stuck in this sense of entrapment. I feel like of lack of self. So
Absolutely.
I think learning with these women who have experienced this degrading kind of acts, once they learn to speak in their truth and be in their truth, you're going to have better outcomes and know, like, hey, listen, no, that's not what I want to do. And I've had to plenty of times learn how to say chiffon, say it. Because I'm super nice. I'm super giving. I don't want to make anyone upset. And that was my biggest downfall, trying to please everyone and trying to be a people's pleaser. And that's, I guess, one thing, as we spoke earlier, if that's one thing I would tell my younger self, that would be, don't please other people, to speak in your truth and know if it's something that you don't like, if something that doesn't make you happy, whether in the bed or outside of the bed, say it, because that might save a lot of trauma and hurt in the past. And I know in my sexual journey, doing stuff that I didn't want to do really, really, really hurt me in the long run, because I would just pass that hurt or pass that habit to the next relationship or the next partner, and it's like, oh, well, this person liked it, so I guess that person will like it, and you keep doing the same vicious cycle, and all you're doing is hurting yourself in the process. You're not helping yourself at all. You're not getting closer to yourself. You're getting further away.
Absolutely. So powerful. Healthy boundaries, like setting up boundaries for yourself, is such a crucial part of self-love. Like just defining clear boundaries and sticking to them. It's like so crucial for developing, confidence, self-worth, self-esteem. But it's funny because I think that like feminine nature inherently wants to be like people pleasing. Like as I think that in like femininity has a genuine desire to want to like see other people happy, but then like the dark forces at play exploit that. Like they take that genuine quality and then they exploit it to fit their own agenda, whereas like truly healthy masculine energy would see feminine energy and want to protect that and want to like nurture that and not exploit that. But yeah, I think that in this day and age, having healthy boundaries is like so crucial. But yeah,
it is because they're pushing a lot of the agendas that I don't really want to go too deep into it, but they're pushing a lot of agendas that I feel shouldn't be pushed, and especially with the child pedophilia.
Oh my God, yes,
that is really starting to get out of hand.
It's
because
everywhere.
You're taking away this child's natural born right to have a childhood, to explore who they are, and you're putting sex in front of all of that.